Yeah, welcome guys, and welcome to baseball season. Really excited to get going. I told Bobby I was really excited about this, just in the sense that in getting to do this, we get to play. Although we've been outside and have played multiple times, just in terms of inter squads and scrimmages and that type of thing. Practice has gone outstanding. Obviously, a very challenging fall for all of the college coaches across the country. We were no different than that. We saw our team for the first time as a group in January. Was our first time where we had our entire team assembled together, where we could actually have a team meeting in person, not Zoom. So for us, obviously the challenges of culture, team bonding, chemistry, all those types of things were a real challenge. I think you've heard that from multiple coaches across multiple sports across the country. We were no different. It was a challenge for us, as everybody knows within our program, that our respect to culture and that being one of our identifying factors as a program, that we put a lot of time into and developing that as part of our program philosophy. Made it challenging, but it also made us better coaches as we became more creative in how we were able to do things. I can share some of those things with you later, but in getting back in early January, when we were allowed to and come together as a group, the new facility has changed everything. I'm here in the office. We have a conference room with the coaching staff with whiteboards, classroom, nutrition room, players lounge, locker room, training room, weight room. So just immediately that aspect of the kids coming together, coming into the office, the ability to watch video, it's been an absolute game changer. Really excited about that. On the field, you've seen the differences of our kids coming together in the locker room. The communication is better. The toughness is better. That always can improve, but we're excited about where we're going. The three things, if people are going to ask, what's the identity of your team? What do you need to do to be successful? Certainly would love to share that with you, as our team knows that wholeheartedly. We feel like the strength of our team going into the season right now is our pitching staff, the depth of the staff, the experience of the staff, guys that were able to compete last year pretty effectively and then coming off some nice summers. So we like our pitching. It's old. And we hope to keep it that way, and they're healthy. Everybody is healthy so far. From a position player standpoint, the offensive approach is going to be a major key for us. That's my job. If we can stretch the amount of hitters that we have right now, it's got a chance to be a pretty exciting team. If you look at the Manzardos, if you look at the Vandebreaks, Colin Montez, the addition of Tristan Peterson, those four guys certainly can bring some real punch. And they've had nice falls and springs, but we need to lengthen that in terms of depth. But the keys to us positionally for us as a coaching staff are going to be catching and the defense. Our ability as catchers to block and receive, do a great job of that and be lengthy with that. And then to have a two-strike approach at the plate. If we can put the ball in play, if you look at where we were last year, some guys were positive. Jack Smith had a positive ratio. Manzardo was really positive in the fall, but we feel like that's going to be a big piece for us as well. So pitching, our defense behind the plate, and then our ability to put the ball in play with two strikes, we think we're going to have some power. My job is to lengthen out the lineup and lengthen out the offense, but we're excited about the opportunity to go out and compete. Obviously, we don't like our schedule. There's too many games on the road, but welcome to COVID. Welcome to just how it worked out this season. But we're ready to get going. We've got a week to go. We'll be outside today most likely, unless the weather changes again. But we'll be outside, go over team defense, and get ready to get on that bus a week from today.
All right, thanks, Coach. Our first question is going to be from Jamie Vinnick from Coug Fan. Go ahead, Jamie.
What's up, Jamie?
Hey, Coach. So you just mentioned your first 24 games are on the road, part of kind of the battle of playing in Pullman with the weather. What do you do to try and overcome the lack of a home field advantage early on?
We're looking forward to the opportunity to just go play, and Jamie, we had prior to COVID, week 3 and week 4 were actually home series, and we were excited about opening that up with the new facility and letting the fans see that. I've gotten a little bit of flack for that schedule, but that was a touch out of our control. We lost week 3 and 4 to COVID, and it's been a real challenge to get teams to come here. We've tried like crazy to get home series week 3 and 4, couldn't do it. And then obviously the Pac announced its schedule. We just happened to be on the road the first 2 weeks. But, for us, the home field advantage is just going to come in April. there's a toughness component of this place that we like. We practice in the snow or in 30 degree just about every day. And our kids never talk about the weather. And I hope that we can transfer that into when we go on the road, not evaluating that either. But, we certainly wish that we had weeks 3 and 4 at home or an opening week soon with Pac-12 play, but we just don't happen to have it this year. So we lose a little of that this year, but it'll give us an opportunity with essentially a new team to go out on the road, bond, get tough, and prepare us for week 3 in Pac-12 season against Stanford. So we're going to use it as an opportunity to get tougher, go on the road, face some adversity. It certainly won't be the normal road tough because we're probably not going to see fans except maybe Dixie State week 2, TBA Seattle week 3 and 4. So we're going to use it as an opportunity to come together and get tougher.
Is there some kind of benefit, at least for you guys, you get to go to a couple places and play an actual, a little more baseball weather in like California?
Yeah, no doubt, and if we don't have a home series week 3 and 4, then we're going to Arizona or California. We'll get into the warmth and probably see our pitchers spike up a little bit on the velocity side. But no, that we certainly are looking forward to that. We had Riverside on the road. COVID changed that. We were fortunate enough to pick up UC Davis and other Big West opponents. So the weather will probably be very nice there, especially for our guys. 60 degrees we'll be in shorts and tank tops. But and then week 2 down in St. George, Dixie State, weather should be great there. And, and then again, we weren't hunting, Seattle in weeks 3 and 4. If we're going to go on the road, we would like to see better weather, but that's just how the COVID situation worked out. And we were able to get Seattle U and the Huskies to partner up, and it's something we could bus and van and be able to play. There's a lot of teams that just have open weekends, unfortunately, for many of us across the country.
The abbreviated first year obviously was a shortened season, but what was that kind of about compared to what this year's about for you guys?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Jamie, because last year it was about energy and it was about enthusiasm. It was about hustle. It was about liking each other and liking coming out to the yard and having a new perspective on, what we really viewed as success, and everything wasn't result based. And we really had to fight becoming a family. There was a lack of trust. There was a lack of communication. It was just a very dull fall for us, and we really wanted to build into the spring. And so year 1 was about energy. Year 1 was about kind of putting our stamp down of how we want to act and operate, and how we want to love, and how we want to cry, and how we want to fist pump, and how we want to get excited about being a Coug with a chip on our shoulder. And year 2 is different. It's been different for us as coaches. The energy part is fine. The energy part is great. Our kids play hard. They practice hard. It becomes making that next step as a program where you become tougher. You become tougher one pitch at a time. You expect to have energy, and we don't base our grading on playing hard. We base it on, can you make a pitch to pitch adjustment? We don't base that on the culture of having a great dugout and being enthused to be out at the field. Those are expectations, and those are in place. So now it's really about taking that next step, which we didn't get an opportunity to do. Our kids didn't get an opportunity to play conference baseball. We had an opportunity to go on the road. We had an opportunity to grow. We finished very strong with a 7-2 in our last 9 and had some comeback wins, was great. But this year's about building on toughness and building on expectations of being successful here at Washington State, that we can win here. We expect to win here. And with the new facility, what that's done for recruiting, we're on a level playing field with the rest of the conference. And it's a matter of just developing, growing, and really, Jamie, the last thing is probably taking those new players, the freshmen, and seeing if we can speed up their curve of their development. That's going to be a big piece for us. Our returning players have been outstanding, and you bring in the 29th ranked recruiting class this year and expect many of them to be on the field. When we open up, you're probably going to see a heavy dose of returning players. So we're really proud of those guys and the guys that were in the program that when we got here, were already here.
You mentioned recruiting. Is there any update on when the NCAA is going to allow you guys to have recruiting visits so you can show off that great facility?
Boy, we hear April and then we hear it's maybe June again. So, doing a great job with virtual visits right now and best that we can with our video team and showing as much video as we have. But it's still up in the air. It seems to be pushed back month by month for us. That we had hoped April, and now we're hearing June. We will be recruit ready. I can tell you that with the facility. It's one of our players texted me today, said, "Coach, check out the locker room." And the comment was, it's looked like this every day since we got it, and it's just sparkling. There's nothing on the floor. This is a really exciting place to show off, and it's going to be one of the best in the conference. So we're hoping for July, to be quite honest. Fingers crossed. If we can do June, that's what's out there right now. That'd be great. The April rumor seems to have subsided, but we're ready to go. I know Coach Davis is chomping at the bit to get on the road, and more importantly, we're chomping at the bit to be able to bring kids in here and show this place off.
And then with 9 days before the opener, what position battles are the most competitive for you guys?
Catching, for sure. We've kind of solidified the 10 to 12 guys that are going to pitch for us. There's starting to be a real split. That's something that we've talked about. I've really diverted my attention just to the cage, and really just trying to lengthen the amount of guys right now that we can get to hit. But I would say, Jamie, the catching, the defensive catching is wide open. That's got to get better. Too many balls have gone that way. Do we have good stuff on the mound? You bet. But, our catchers know that that's an expectation for us, and we want to see you do a better job of receiving, and we expect you to be working hard on your own right now of catching as many balls and blocking as many balls as you can. So, with Meyer coming back, with Gabe Togia, related to Jack Thompson and Coug royalty, that's been a nice addition. He catches the ball, transfer from Gonzaga. You've got Louie and Jacob. They've done a much better job of receiving. They can both throw, both freshmen though. So trying to toughen them up a little bit from their receiving and blocking. And then Peterson came in as a first baseman, still will be, of course, as a DH as well. He can play a little left, but he went to Kansas State out of high school as a catcher. So we've brought him in to get some repetition there. So there's really 5 guys right now that are kind of openly vying for that spot. And we're probably going to rotate that around. The middle infield, Colden has done a great job at shortstop. He's kind of solidified himself as the defender right now. Russell, Goldsmith, both Goldsmiths, and Clifford, those guys up the middle are really competing for that second base or backup shortstop position right now. And they're all playing and working really hard. But I would say probably your middle infield solidifying those 4. And then our catching position, Vandenbrake and Montez, they're not letting anybody take their job right now. They're killing it. They're playing great defense. They're hitting. So we're kind of looking for who's that third outfielder. That's probably the third spot that's most competitive right now. Again, from the pitching perspective, there's so much returning play that those guys are all going to get an opportunity to compete again.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this year.
Thanks, Jamie. Good to hear from you.
All right, Coach, next question is going to be Theo Lawson from the Spokesman Review. Go ahead, Theo.
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Good, Theo. Good to hear from you.
What's been the biggest benefit of the new facility from maybe a player standpoint in the short time you guys have been using it for, I'm guessing, 3 weeks, a month now?
At 8 a.m. they're here. They're on their computers. They're distanced, and they're in the classroom. The biggest adjustment has just been that they're here all day, and they are. They do their classwork here. Then they go into the training room. They go into the cage or the barn. They come back. They get ready for practice. We have a classroom setting. We go out to practice. But I think, Theo, there's probably 3 things with that. But number one, just the individual time investment per player with the nutrition. They're able to eat here all day. This place is amazing. It's a big league clubhouse. But the second thing has just been the team bonding part. The guys are hanging out together. They're in the locker room together. They're in the lounge together. And then for us, the classroom piece, we didn't have that. And we didn't have a place to meet. So we were always in the dugout. And when it's 34 degrees and the wind's howling, the concentration gets a little laxed when you're trying to go over bunt Ds or just culture. So, having a 20-minute, 30-minute classroom setting and then go put your cleats on and come out to the field where we can go over chalk talk bunt Ds, first and thirds, or talk about culture or talk about individual mental game toughness or one pitch at a time, or whether it's me with the hitting or Clags with the pitching, going over video. I mean, it has completely changed how we operate here. Those 3 things have been the biggest benefit. So I think the education of the players and the culture of the players It's changed everything. It's awesome.
Is it going to get to the point where you almost have to kick them out of that place with all they can do there because they're going to want to be sleeping there and eating there and hanging out there and socializing and whatnot?
Hey, no joke. It's gotten there, when the coaches leave, they're still here and, hey, go home, or we're getting a lot more texts at night about the kids hitting in the barn late at night, and those are things that they're able to do here because they can go from here to there. They're not traveling. They're not driving back and forth, shuttling back and forth, and their laundry's done here for them. They throw it into the chute. They come in and punch code early in the morning and their stuff's already done. They can get into a hot tub, a cold tub before practice or after practice. It's really been that way. And it's been that way for the coaches too. We're in a lot earlier. We get into the weight room, we work out, maybe a hot or cold tub, shower up, and you're in the office drinking coffee. I mean, it's amazing. I can't believe to show it. I can't wait to show it. We can't wait to show it. We've got a great presentation for the fans on March 30th when we do the virtual opening to show everything. I know we've shown some pieces and some of that on social media, but it's really incredible. And it's better and bigger. And, been at UCLA and was at Oregon State and was at Kentucky. And the one concept of having everything here and then just being able to walk out on the field is it's phenomenal.
There's going to be a lot of conversation, obviously, around Kyle Manzardo this year. What type of goals do you guys have for Kyle as a staff, and then how has he kind of dealt with all the accolades, the preseason third-team All-American, the Seattle Sports Star of the Year nominee, and everything that's kind of come with his success?
Yeah, and I know that he came in here with really lofty expectations, from the previous coaching staff, and now he's an All-American last year, and now he's a preseason All-American this year, and like you said, Theo, all those accolades. You would never know. I mean, he really has the right mentality to be a great baseball player. I texted our kids this morning or last night actually on Group Me, but we texted and I said, guys, our 4 best hitters were in the barn longer than anyone on the team last year. Do you think there might be a correlation to that? And that's Kyle. He's just really committed to being great. He doesn't care about the accolades. I mean, it's the bad mustache. It's the flannel, it's the beanie, and it's be at the yard all day and hit all day and be committed to your craft. He's made huge strides in the last few weeks, just in terms of his rhythm and his mechanics. He's handling it great. He's handling it the way that a guy on our leadership council should handle it, where it's just, those are things that are outside and those are great. And I think Kyle really recognizes that they're great for the program, but, and I'm really happy for him and proud for him and his family that he receives those, but it's a sign that the program's getting better, and he's a total pro, and his work habits are professional. He's turned himself into a great player, and 7th best preseason first baseman in the country. That's pretty heady stuff. And that's a pretty heavy position right there at first base. There's a lot of great hitters across the country. If you look in the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, and number 7's pretty high preseason going in. So people are paying attention. He'll go to the Cape Cod if we get there, but who knows what happens with professional baseball. But he handles it as good as I've seen. It's really professional and it's really mature.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. Next question will be from Scott Hood and Wazoo Watch and Rivals. Go ahead, Scott.
Talk about your who the candidates for your weekend starting rotation, pitching wise.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I think everybody knows Zane Mills is going to pitch. He's been outstanding. He was outstanding in the summer. He was outstanding for us last spring. Nothing has changed except his maturity, his growth, his ability to pitch, his concentration in the bullpens. He's really, really made a jump. So Zane's going to be an absolute, pivotal key piece for us on the weekend. And then if you look at who else could be in there, Brandon White, Dakota Hawkins, a transfer, Will Sierra, Duke Brotherton, Mickey Thompson. I think, when you look at 4-game weekends and the first 3-4 weekends of the year, I think those are the 5 or 6 guys that you could anticipate seeing on the mound as rotation guys.
What about the closer role?
And that's going to be a little bit committee-ish right now, Scott, with 4-game weekends. That just changes things. So Sierra's a guy that's a swing guy, and Owen Leonard has been unbelievable for us in our program. Certainly he's going to be at the back end. Rad Thomas has gone from a guy who threw hard and couldn't pitch to a guy who's got real out stuff. It's up to 95 and is on our leadership council. Barnum has been really good. Newstrom is an interesting matchup lefty. Ethan Ross has been up to 94 left-handed. So it's going to be a committee, but I think you would look at Thomas. I think you would look at Leonard. And then when we get to those 3-game series, you probably are looking at Sierra moving back in the back end because he can really run it up there, and he's got some pretty electric stuff. So we're pretty excited about our pitching.
I saw this morning you guys put out a tweet lauding the fact that you have two first basemen that are pretty highly regarded.
Yeah.
How are you going to split the playing time between Manzano and Tristan? I mean, is it going to be one guy going to play first, one going to DH, or how are you going to split that up?
Yeah, totally. I mean, they're both going to be in the lineup. It's going to be 3-4 or 4-5 or 2-3. And, it's the coolest thing when you look at Manzardo and Peterson is they're buddies. They hang out together, and they're both first basemen. And it just shows the maturity of Kyle, a guy who's an All-American last year. And then we bring in, a transfer All-American in Peterson, who everybody in America wanted him as a graduate transfer. A guy who for us in New Mexico State at 400 with 20 home runs, 90 RBIs. And so we were really hoping to really patch that up with how can we break up Manzardo and Montez with those two left-handers? Can we find a power right-hander? If we can't, then, you're going to have Vanderbreak or Smith in the middle of them. But we bring in TP. He's on our leadership council, is voted on by his teammates. It's been seamless. They both grind at first base. It's nice that TP can catch a little bit. It's nice that he can play a little bit of outfield. But yeah, they're both gonna be in the lineup every day, and we're just gonna move them around DH and first base, and keep them both happy because we're really happy that they're both gonna be in our lineup.
You talked about a lot of positions, but I'm not sure you talked about third base. Who's gonna be third baseman?
Yeah, Jack Smith will be there. He's locked it down.
Right.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Plus ratio last year. Such a great story. Jack was he's a great personality and he's a great person, but I think he's really changed his mentality in terms of what he can do on the baseball field, maybe his individual goals, but he's completely changed his body. Jack will be our third baseman. He's going to have to fail to be moved out of that position. He's done a fantastic job. Defense, offense, approach, another leadership council member. We're really proud of him.
I understand you have a transfer from the University of Miami. How is he adjusting to life here?
So,
and I guess, how do you convince a kid to go from Coral Gables to Pullman, Washington?
Yeah, no, Scott, he'll be here next year. He's in the signing class.
Right.
But I think the facility plays, if you look at even the kids that we've signed in that recruiting class, I think clearly so much credit to Coach Davis and what he does as a recruiting coordinator. The guy's an animal, but we started to get national in our recruiting in this class that'll be coming in next year. We'll talk about that when we get here, but the facilities change everything. It brings us into a totally different arena of recruiting. So I don't know if we'll be doing too much recruiting in Florida. And if we are, we're going to make sure that we explain to them that it does snow here and there's not a beach in Pullman.
One final question. As part of the Major League Baseball restructuring of the minor league system, I think they've pushed back the draft now to July. They actually have a league now for prospects. How does that affect the college coaches like yourself in terms of how you handle the draft, since it's no longer going to be in early June?
Yeah, that'll change things a little bit. But I think, Scott, for us, it just comes down to the projection of where we think guys are going to go. I think you're certainly going to lose a player or two. Guys that maybe weren't turned in early, in a program like a Washington State, or maybe a cold weather school where somebody's velocity really jumps in the spring. I think that June to July time, where guys can blow up, you can lose that maybe 10th rounder who moves into the 5th rounder or 6th round. But, for us, I think it really comes down to just the projection and communicating with your guys and understanding what their number is going to be and what they want to do. From the recruiting aspect of it, I think we do a really good job. And I think most coaches just try to stay ahead of what players' signability is, both within your program and guys coming in. And what their family's number is and what their academic profile is, and if they want to sign or not. So it'll make it more challenging. You've got a chance certainly to open up a little more money in that last month that you don't normally have. So I think there'll be a little bit more craziness, but I don't anticipate it being too much more.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, any other questions for Coach Green? Scott has one more. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Scott.
one more question, Coach.
Yes.
In terms of just sort of related to the new facility, has these and being as you mentioned, a cold weather baseball school, has Oregon State's success in baseball sort of eliminated the excuse for cold weather schools now that they can't compete with the warm weather schools? In fact, you guys can compete have the ability to compete on a national level as long as you're willing to commit to the resources and commit to success and spend what you do and go out and get the players that you have to play, that you can get to that level as long as you're willing to commit to that.
Totally, Scott. 100%. I mean, I coached for Coach Casey in 2001. I was a volunteer. It was actually my first Division I job. I was the volunteer at Oregon State. So I was there and saw what Coach Case was starting to build. And, the facility, he had gotten a new facility where it was, a small stadium and a locker room, and there was a team room. And then obviously the thing has blown up. But Scott, there's no question. I mean, you look at Michigan, they're in the national championship game.
Right.
There is no question that in these types of environments, for me personally, you look at Washington, you look at Oregon, you look at Oregon State, you look at Washington State. This is where you can blow it up, in my opinion. That's why I was so excited to come here and to have this opportunity. If you're in Los Angeles, which I've coached at UCLA as well, and there would be times where we're playing Fullerton, and there'd be 1,000 people maybe at home on a Tuesday. You're going to get 3,000, 5,000. This is a college town, and up here in the Northwest, where people get excited to come outside, these are college towns where we're the only show in town. And when the universities commit to these resources, I think you see what Oregon State has done. That was, for me, that's what we're chasing. We're certainly, that's the goal, is to get to that spot where Washington State is in Omaha. And anytime you're committing to those types of resources, it makes a statement to recruits. There are great players up in Northern California, Washington, Arizona, and Canada, and this part of the country. But no question. I mean, cold weather schools can win. And do you have to go on the road? You bet. Do you have to play in some cold in week 3 or 4? You bet. It's an advantage if you're at home. And I think you can blow up the facilities. I think you can have bigger crowds. I think it can be a bigger game in town. And I'm pumped when we came up here, knowing that Oregon State, and Washington had the facilities that they had. I think it was one of the forcing things that people came in and said, let's help Washington State out. So, I mean, I'm so blessed and fortunate to be here, but we can win here, and I think you look at the facility in year 1, and the next thing we've got a top 30 recruiting class in our first recruiting class. That's pretty loud in terms of what the facility did in attracting talent. So we just got to continue to do a great job there and be committed to developing and teaching as coaches.